million Americans died from COVID-19. Some estimate as many as 15 million people died worldwide from COVID-19. Publicly, Anthony Fauci promoted the theory that the virus arose naturally, while privately, he was well aware of a mountain of evidence suggesting the virus originated in the lab. The American people deserve answers. Do you swear that the testimony you will give before this committee will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Although it pains me to do so, because of the respect I have for the legislative branch of government and my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
Well, the man who led the U.S. response to the global pandemic in 2020 telling Congress today that he wouldn't answer questions about it. Anthony Fauci, former director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, said he'd invoke his Fifth Amendment rights to protect against self-incrimination in a hearing about his role of the public health official during the COVID-19 pandemic. Fauci, who's 85 years old, was subpoenaed by the U.S. Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. U.S. Senator Rand Paul issued that subpoena to compel his testimony.
The committee asked for your voluntary cooperation to come today. Your appearance had to be compelled by subpoena. You're here today under duress. You're here today because of the court ordering it. President Biden issued you a sweeping pardon extending back to 2014, the same pardon he gave to his son Hunter. A pardon may protect a person from criminal prosecution. It doesn't rewrite history. It does not erase documents. It does not convert a misleading statement into a truthful one. And it does not prevent Congress from establishing what happened.
Now, Fauci criticized Paul's pursuit of his leadership during the coronavirus pandemic. He said Paul has an obvious obsession with him. Paul pointed to documents released as part of the Senate's investigation into the pandemic, where Fauci appeared to acknowledge COVID-19's origins from a leak at a lab in Wuhan, China. Paul also mentioned several virologists and top scientists in Fauci's circle who acknowledged the possibility of the virus leaking from a lab.
How did you come to the conclusion that a totalitarian country would be capable of doing this in a BSL-2 lab, a lab that lacked the security? What was the reasoning? And are you sorry, basically, for making the decision? Would you, given another chance, say, well, gosh, circumstances now, as I know it, maybe it wasn't a wise thing. Can you explain to the committee why you chose to fund this dangerous research in China?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Now, that was just one moment that Fauci pleaded the Fifth. He was then pelted with questions from other members, including Missouri U.S. Senator Josh Hawley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, nothing says honesty like taking the Fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color tie are you wearing?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
What color is the carpet in front of you?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment.
You were using federal employees with taxpayer money to apply for and solicit cash prizes for you personally. Cash prizes totaling over $1 million. You did all of that during the pandemic, didn't you? That's a question.
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
You called yourself the most famous scientist in the world. You've done more to harm science than anybody in my lifetime. And I hope you'll go home and write that in your diary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Now, in his opening statement, Fauci said he was concerned that Senator Paul would seek to arrest him based off his testimony, regardless of his pardon. Paul also pointed to potential conflicts of interest Fauci had to support gain-of-function research in China. He said Fauci financially supported critical labs in China. Senator Gary Peters, a Democrat from Michigan, he criticized the committee's decision to subpoena Fauci and hold that hearing.
More than 1 million Americans lost their lives, and this committee should absolutely continue to examine how we can better prepare our nation against future biological threats. Those are the kinds of forward-looking, life-saving questions that will help our nation be better prepared to protect the health and the safety of Americans when the next emergency occurs. Unfortunately, at this precise moment, we should be strengthening our capabilities. The Trump administration seems to be doing everything in their power to actually weaken our capabilities. The administration has hollowed out the public health workforce. They have fired, pushed out, and cut funding for public health personnel, shrinking the CDC workforce by a quarter.
Now, Paul said Peters' assertions were categorically false. Paul also slammed Fauci for not answering his questions and said the former health director will face consequences for refusing to testify. Ultimately, Paul said the issue of public confidence is important.
There will be another pandemic. There will be another crisis. And there will again be officials who insist that uncertainty must be hidden for the public's own good. They will demand obedience. They will invoke science. I am the science, as though it were a commandment. They will argue that government officials cannot be questioned because questioning them would undermine public trust. They have it backwards. It is secrecy that destroys trust. It is arrogance that destroys trust. It is censorship that destroys trust. And it is the refusal to admit error that destroys trust. That loss of trust may be your most damaging legacy.
You can go get the latest on today's hearing at thecentersquare.com.